Lynn, can you tell me about the most challenging time in your life?
I think that's hard, right? Because I think you have challenging times at different times of your life while you have different skill sets and resources. Do you know what I mean? So, it's when I was younger, teens and early 20s and stuff, I think managing anger was an ongoing challenge. So it's like, are you asking me like whether there was like this one particular challenge or whether the challenge is like a consistent, long running thing?
When you most felt stuck?
Stuck.
Yeah.
Okay. When I most felt stuck. So I think it is related to potentially maybe, I didn't realise I had ADHD until 2 years ago, which is odd now, looking back.
It was screaming at you.
It was screaming, like absolutely screaming. And it was screaming at everyone else in the form of anger and rage and, reactiveness and all of those things. And I think there was a long time that I felt stuck, that I wasn't going to be able to exist in a way that wasn't so angry. Like I kind of took on that like anger and kind of outbursts or rages. Like people still slag me like for road rage, or like, if someone cut me off following them home, like, do you know what I mean? It's like, and I that was so much part of in my head that this is something that happens in such a flash. It happens so quickly that I can't catch it. It's happened, and then I fall into a shame cycle about it.
Right.
So it's not that I don't care about it, because after I've screamed and shouted, or after I have just been in an absolute rage response to something, it's not long before I feel guilt and shame and regret, and then you're trying to mop that up in a sense, like, and you're trying to then say like, I didn't mean that, and I'm really sorry for shouting at you. I should have handled that differently. And do you know what I mean? So I think that was a huge challenge for a long, long time throughout my life.
And how old would you have been?
Well, I think I showed some levels of anger at a very, very young age, or I don't know. I'd say anger is not a bad thing either. So I don't want to be framing that. It's more about appropriateness and proportionality, and whether your anger is being used to in a force for good or change, or whether your anger is just actually part of a whole cycle of a behaviour that you can't seem to get out of. You're in a loop of. Do you know what I mean? So I suppose I'm speaking about anger, and in that perspective where it's harmful to you and it's harmful to other people. And I definitely think throughout my teenage years it was very prevalent, and also throughout my 20s. And I don't think it has fully disappeared by any sense, but I'm able to slow the process down. So I may still feel a rush of emotion or intensity, but now I have a skill set and a framework where I go, okay, how do I articulate this? And I have a bigger vocabulary now. I have a safer environment now. So there's other environmental stressors that would have been in my life at that stage that would have made it harder for me to be as resourceful as I am now in managing certain emotions. Where then I probably felt, I didn't probably have full job security. I didn't have the education that I now have. I didn't have, there were so many different things.
Yeah.
So that's why at the beginning I was saying that, like, the biggest challenge that you can have may still exist. That challenge may still exist for me now, but the skills in which I have around that are different. So the challenge is how I respond to things now, not necessarily that the emotion has disappeared or the intensity has disappeared.
Yeah.
But the challenge is just making sure that I use the skill sets that I have now to respond differently.
And do you know what's interesting for me? Like, I think that challenge is nearly part of your superpower, because anger, you said, isn't a bad thing necessarily. It can bring passion. And when I see you in the Dáil, and you have that passion, and there's anger in that passion as well. So do you think being able to regulate that sort of turn into something that's a force for you now?
That's exactly what it is. It's the regulation piece.
Yeah.
It's being able to regulate and differentiate between the two things. Do you know what I mean? So understanding that I can regulate, and also still with force and with action and with passion and with meaning articulate in a particular way the things that make me angry, or the things that should change, or how society is, set against certain people. And them things do make me angry. The systematic stuff makes me angry. I'm better now at placing that anger and turning it into something positive, like you said, by putting it into a societal structure rather than an individual thing. Do you know what I mean? So if I can take a reactiveness I have to a certain situation and try and assess how it's playing out in society or structures or the environment or policy, it makes it easier to manage from a much more objective place rather than responding from an individual hurt space or something. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.